Hi, my name is Anthony Vandermark, and I'm a principal of the architectural firm of MBMK Architecture, and we are the architects of record for this project. Yes, our webpage does display an 18-story structure, and it is labeled 107 New York Avenue. But however, that was part of a previous proposal about a year and a half ago that had a Boys and Girls Club attached to the base of this, and the project never went anywhere.
Change the website.
No, we're very proud of what we do. We actually display all of our paper architecture and digital architecture on our webpage. Now, for a community member to go ahead and clip that architecture and then decide to distribute it out to the community, well, fair enough, but unfortunately, most of the people in this room were misinformed as to what we're presenting tonight.
We also asked
It's a 9-story building, a high-rise.
A 9-story building is what we're proposing tonight. Is it a high-rise? Yes, it's a high-rise.
It's a high-rise. No high-rise.
for the plans prior to the meeting would not share them. There you go. We could have posted with the appropriate 9-story high-rise building on the flyer.
We're not getting into semantics here.
Let's get down. Let me step backwards. The initial meeting, we sent out notices to people within 200 feet, and that was going to be our first meeting. The reason we did that was that they would be directly impacted or most impacted by any redevelopment of this property. So
everyone here will be impacted by a development of this scale.
Can we just get? I just want to lay the foundation why we're here, what our plan was. So that's right. I mean, and Kern, we didn't distribute the plans because we didn't want to send out plans to everybody because we wanted to have a smaller meeting to see what their concerns were. We were going to get comments back. They were going to change. Then we were going to contact all the neighborhood associations. As you know, there was no intent to ignore any of the community associations here. You've got the RNA, you've got Persian Field, you've got Sergeant Anthony. You have a lot of community associations here, so we really just wanted to focus on the people who would be most impacted by any development here. That's why it just went out to those people. And I'm glad you're here because we can. This is a kickoff, right?
So you know that
and we're going to get your comments tonight.
You know that high-rise is a non-starter, which is why it's been so.
And that was communicated to you clearly in an email from the RNA board, and you chose to ignore that and still present a 9-story high-rise building.
We can still propose this, and if if everybody, we walk out of here and we say, that's not going anywhere, then obviously it's going to change.
So let's see. It's not going anywhere.
I'm concerned. Anybody here who understands they got a message that it was going to be a 9-story high-rise? Raise your hand. It was 9-story. Just raise your hand if you understand it was going to be 9-story. Okay, do you guys agree? If you guys agree, raise your hand.
We want to hear more about it.
I'll continue.
I should stop right there.
Yeah.
Look, let's remember one thing. This area of Jersey City I'm here 81 and a half years.
Wow.
I have never moved from here. I went to my schooling here. I run a business here for 57 years. And you have a group of people here who are seriously involved in this area. Everybody is involved. So let's go back to square one. As I grew up, when I went to Dickinson High School in 1955, the jewel of Jersey City was the Heights. When you told people you were from the Heights, they said, oh, wow, you must be very rich because you live in the best part of the city. And we have managed to keep the best part of the city the best. Certain things are happening here. We see some buildings going up. Yes, they're going up. But let's not make a skyline here of Jersey City not what it really should be. It's a community of people in a lot of small homes, 3- and 4-family houses. We have a lot of our 6-family houses that have now been converted, as you can see. Those 6-family houses I had cousins come in from California one day and said to me, they are the richest people in the world. Look at the size of that house. I said, no, those are 6 families living in that house. We've managed to do that all these years. And no one has abused it. Unfortunately, this situation with that building, you want to do something with it? Make it look nice, bring it down to a reasonable height, make the Heights proud of it. I'm not looking for applause, so believe me, I'm not here for that reason. I had a knee replaced 3 weeks ago, I'm here. I'm serious. This is very strongly an important part of all these people's lives. People are buying homes here, and all of a sudden now they're gonna go to Choco Pond, they're gonna go to 4th on Franklin, they're gonna go to Little Restaurant in New York, and look at this monstrosity sticking up in their face. It doesn't belong here. It doesn't belong, and I think really, gentlemen, you should just say, let us all go back home and realize that you are not needed to put that building up that size. Be reasonable. Look at the beautiful building across the street from it. I grew up, that was the public service building. Look what they did to that thing recently. They renovated it, they built the cornices, they repainted all these cornices on it. That building's pretty high. Why not mimic that? The powerhouse, you know, the one across the street, which is now the medical building. They were gonna tear that down and build, but you know, the city got a hold of it, right? Isn't it a medical building now? Yes. My wife, I'm sorry, she's a nurse in the city. Look, things are happening here that are making it right. This is not right. And all these people are giving up their ears because it's... I'm sure that there are a lot of other people who would like to talk, but I had to give you my viewpoint because I am here 82 years.
I understand, I totally appreciate all your comments here. And so, tonight, we hear, obviously, right off the bat, we hear it, 9 stories, you're not, you know, people aren't gonna support that. But it's more than the 9 stories we're here tonight. We want to show you the project, the bulk of it, the scale of it, the parking, the uses. We want to know what the community might want to see here if it's redeveloped. So that was part of it. Again, going back to, we wanted to talk to people in the immediate area and then branch out. So we're here. It's the first step. So we're here, we want to hear from the neighborhood. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of negative comments, you know, from our perspective, but that's why we're here. We know that. But there's a lot that can be done here. As Anthony said, about within like the last year, the city had approached my client and asked about possibly doing a public recreational facility there that's not available in the city. The Boys and Girls Club wanted to open up a new facility up here, but the economics didn't work because the size of the building we would need to build that out and then transfer it over for $1 just didn't work. So we knew that. That's what Anthony said. We scrapped that. So that's the plan that was in the flyer. That never made the light of day because it just didn't work. So we're here, you know, we're proposing, you know, a 9-story. We want to take you through it. We hear that a lot of people, or most of the people here, say they're objecting to that. But let us take you through it, and then we want to hear from you what the community might want to see. What are community benefits that you might want to see here? This is, you know, we're not even filed. This is not. We didn't file any application.
I see it already.
This is what. Yeah, exactly. Let's run ahead. I'm sorry. Right.
Well, thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. The property itself is an island unto itself. It's a pre-existing 2-story warehouse structure with a 1-story addition here that faces Ravine Avenue. It has 4 frontages. We have New York coming up here. We have Ravine Avenue here. We have Webster Avenue here. We have Ferry Street here. And we have New York Avenue here. Again, it's a pre-existing 2-story warehouse that tops off at approximately 28 feet. Then we have a 1-story addition here that was added later that measures approximately 16 feet from grade. Okay. Proposed property area of the site, full city block, is 23,625 square feet. So for a property here in the Heights, you're looking at over a half an acre of property for development here. Property actually extends into the intersection of Ferry Street and New York Avenue. What you're looking at here, as far as the red line is the building outline of the 7-story residential footprint that's going above. Okay, that's going to cover 71% of this site. It is the intent of this project to restore and add new masonry facade to the existing 2-story warehouse, rebuild this portion to match the existing 2-story facade, okay? Use that as a podium to the residential structure. The proposed project has 96 units 68 parking spaces, which works out at a ratio of 0.7, 62 bicycle spaces. We have 3 retail spaces. We have a over 5,000 square foot retail space that's going to be at the intersection of both New York Avenue and Ferry Street. We have a 2,500 square foot retail space that is at New York Avenue and Ravine Avenue, and another 3,500 square foot space that's at Webster Avenue and Ravine Avenue. Next, Carol. Going back into what we just discussed, and this gentleman had just mentioned, we have the trolley lofts here at a taller 4-story. We have a 4.5-story masonry apartment building here. And again, as you can see, the building is in disrepair, and it stands alone as a full city block. This is west looking east. Again, a continuous curb cut all along Webster Avenue. The property right now has 4 street trees. All sidewalks and everything are in really bad shape. And what we're proposing is all new sidewalks, all new street trees, all new curbing, and a restoration of the footprint of the building itself. Street perspective, again, this just goes to show you what the shape of the building actually in. 2 stories, 28 feet in total height. Okay, and this is, again, Webster Avenue. Continuous curb cut here, double loading bay. We have 3 more curb cuts that happen to be on Ravine Avenue. So, again, proposed, the existing use is a warehouse. There is material in the warehouse. It is an operational warehouse. Okay. We are proposing an adaptive reuse to a mixed-use structure, both retail, parking, and a residential 7-story above. Okay, we're going to show you an animation of what the building potentially would look like, okay, at 9 stories. It's about 3 minutes. This is working up New York Avenue.
That's not real life traffic.
Yes, you should show cars back all the way up the way it is in the morning.
This is the restored 2-story version of the warehouse. We have outdoor space, a floating 3rd floor, and a residential above. We're proposing a curb cut for the loading area. And the materials is a composite aluminum that goes from dark to light. And the building actually gets lighter to the east.
Is that supposed to help with the people who are south of that in the shade?
Look at the shade.
This is the Webster Avenue facade.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I never see ever mentioned anything around any attempt to fit in with the existing neighborhood.
We have a 6,000 square foot extensive green roof with outdoor roof areas for common amenity. We're going to back down the eastern facade of the building now. The building is wedge-shaped, and all of the views, each unit has a view of Manhattan. Okay?
Good for them.
Everyone's here.
New York Avenue facade. Roof decks here on Ferry Street. And as we're going to roll through the building, you're going to see the main residential entry here at the podium. Vehicular entry here again at Ferry Street.
At the busiest traffic corner in the Heights. Thank you.
Are you gonna address the traffic?
Is that a thing?
Can't, there's no way to address it.
It's 14 minutes into Hoboken during rush hour from there.
Yeah, I don't know. 14. I just want to make a mention of Bassett Development Committee for the reality is, this is a bit of a charade, to be honest with you, because the fact of the matter is, well, the way we see this, and the way I'll speak for myself, the way I see this is, property owners that have let their buildings dilapidate for decades, then come back and they expect awards and basically to get rewarded with master variances for doing that.
It's actually put together for the community members to actually visualize the building as it is
That's
as
a
a whole.
filing cover sheet. That's your cover sheet for filing with the city. Every architect can look at that and tell you that's a
cover sheet.
document that has zoning information on it.
This is not something that is filed yet. This is you have to have drawings to move
That's,
forward in the
but we can't
process.
read any of that. That's obviously not for our presentation. You've got zoning information on there. You've got all kinds of stuff that nobody here can see. That's a filing drawing for the city. The
That is
first
your
notice
proposal?
didn't even come in English.
You're too far into this thing. I've been looking at blueprints my whole life. You're too far into this thing that it's just a whim. This is what you want to do.
No,
And we're here to stop you from doing it that high. Your building is there, you surely have all your infrastructure worked out, you can see it by your plans. We don't want you to build it that high.
Students from this area, we just did a rezoning of all the schools in the Heights because they're so overcrowded. What school do you propose all these kids are going to go to?
So it would be a use variance, and at 9 stories, it would be a height variance, so. And
And a coverage variance,
Well, no,
and a permeable area variance.
No.
Can you answer the question? And a
The use-
setback variance.
No, because the use variance covers all that, because there's no standards for this type of building, so the use variance is the
So this is a
umbrella.
planned unit development, it is not a variance,
It's not a plan
okay?
to develop.
It's not a variance,
It's a
you're
use variance.
requesting a rezoning. If there is no standard for this, you're suggesting a zoning district that does not exist in Jersey City. You're asking, it's a planned unit development, it needs to go to city planning, this is not a variance application. This is a rezoning application.
When you very creatively established the dilemma when the lumberyard project, that particular situation set things back with the 7-story, the whole bit, but there are no 7-story allowances in the R1.
Yes, there are.
Only for assisted living and.
And nursing
Right, but you always bring that up and you never build
And nursing.
housing. It's always part of your presentation and there's never any senior housing. You always use it as an example of what you can build and how high you can go, but your plans never include senior housing.
Right. We'll just finish up with the floor plans. We'll take some further questions. First floor plan, again, 4 street frontages here, corner retail at 3 corners. The current site has 100% impervious, no stormwater detention. Water comes in, hits the roof, goes directly out into the storm sewers. We are proposing a 100-year storm event capacity stormwater detention system. The residential lobby here will be at Ferry Street, middle floor plan, vehicular entry is here with a ramp going up to the 2nd floor of the podium. We have some spillover, 23 parking spaces, mechanical parking at the 1st floor. All new curbing, all new street trees, a 24-foot proposed curb cut for the loading area, and then we have a 18-foot for the dual ingress, egress for the cars. Basement utilities, 2nd floor, again, we are proposing 45 parking spaces with bicycle storage here at the 2nd floor. This is the existing warehouse podium space. Typical residential floors, okay, they range from 13 or 14 units per floor. Of the 96 right now, we have no studios. We have 4 one-bedroom, 56 one-bedroom plus den, 12 two-bedroom, 2 two-bedrooms with den, 21 three-bedrooms, and 1 three-bedroom with a den. So we are not proposing any studios as part of this project. Each floor plan, okay, rotates for privacy and both views. And again, going back to the rooftop amenity space with extensive green roof around the perimeter and extensive green roof at the upper amenity space and outdoor areas as an amenity for the residents.
If your main entrance is going to be Webster between Ravine and Ferry, well, my garages are there, and everybody knows it. There's a big bulldog on the wall. And this is directly going to affect my family and my life, because if this building goes up, it's going to take away a lot of light. It's going to do a lot for us, plus the construction. Then with the big cranes, you hear all these cranes falling all over the place in New York. What if one falls on my house or one in Migdalia's house? Because we live right there. It's not that we're 1 block away. We're right there. We have new people who have beautiful condos. We're right there, and there they are.
And
they're right there.
How long is the project gonna be? That's what I wanna know.
And we're not against development, but we're against taking away from our way of life and how we're used to. I know people don't think of back in the 1960s, old neighborhoods where everybody sits on the porch, but I don't know half of my neighbors anymore. Oh well. But when it comes to height, that's the main thing. Everybody loves development. I've been living there 30-something years. I raised 2 sons. And adding to this gentleman over here, there's a gentleman, Mr. John Romolo. He's 95 years old. He lives at 45 Ravine Avenue, 5 houses from me. He called me. He also called the attorney, and he called the Division of Planning. He told me he spoke to the attorney, and when he called the Division of Planning, they knew nothing about this. So,
This meeting tonight.
95-year-old man with all his marbles, and he's living there since he's 9 years old, Mr. John Romolo.
Yeah, and we're coming to the neighborhood to present this. This doesn't have a blessing of planning, it doesn't have the blessing of the city. This is out here to, again, getting comments like yourselves and everybody else here tonight, so.
It should be one-to-one parking. For me to come here, I had to come an half an hour earlier just to find parking, and that building is not even built. My husband and I had to come here just to look around, and we finally found parking.
You don't see new accommodated, you've got three very large retail units, which I understand why, even though they don't belong in that part of the neighborhood. There is absolutely nothing done to accommodate loading. Anyone who lives, I live around the corner from this project, anyone who lives near the Supremo, you're talking about putting 3 more tractor trailers, one on New York, one on Ravine, God forbid, and then one on Webster. What the hell? Like,
There's a loading zone.
oh, right, so there's a loading zone right in front of the busiest intersection in the neighborhood?
Oh
You have any idea what it's gonna take to back up a truck off of Ravine Street into that loading?
Drive there.
I have pictures of what the 18 tractor trailers did to my property, to the street lights. They broke my garage. They knocked down the garbage cans with Jersey City never replaced. We had 18 wheelers trying to get into those 2 loadings in the warehouse. Destruction. I can prove it because I have the pictures. I have everything. They destroyed the tree, everything, backing up, banging, knocking things down. Yes, Jersey City fixes it, but why did we have to go through this? I got a big utility pole. My wife is washing dishes. I gotta be scared this pole is gonna knock into my house and kill my family. This is what I don't like about this loading dock. 18 wheelers. Big mother truckers.
We need to take our turn and speak individually, because we can thank them for being here, and I thank you all for being here, but the only way for us to accomplish something today is if we do it one at a time, do it civilly, and express all the passion that you have, but do it one at a time.
So you just admitted that the initial conversation was a community center with 18 stories above it. Now you're coming back with a 9-story to kind of appease us, saying, well, we knocked it down 9 stories. Well, you need to appease us again.
No, that's not the way it was. The city was very interested in a public recreational facility that the developer would build out, transfer it to the city, and they would run it or a third party. We also had the Boys and Girls Club very interested in opening up a second facility up here where we would build it out and transfer it, but the economics of it, so we needed a bigger building to justify the cost. So, but that was about economics, it just wasn't going to work because we knew a building that high wasn't going to work.
So where's the community needs in that building?
Well, that's part of the reason we're here tonight, to hear what
So you basically said you wanted to build something that serviced the community needs, but it didn't work out, so you're just doing luxury residences instead. I don't understand how you move from one end of the spectrum to the other.
The city wanted us to.
But you're saying that to try to alleviate some of the burden of guilt from yourself, like we were thinking about it, but oh darn, it didn't work out, guess we have to do luxury high-rise. That's literally what you're saying. It is.
It's not.
It's
Just
coming
what
up
you're
to
saying.
Jersey City. It's reality. I go to Hoboken every day to the dock. They're building something in the dock, the brownstone. They already dumped everything down. They're already building up. Every time I turn around, there's luxury condominiums everywhere. Between Edgewater, Hoboken, it's just creeping up to the heights. And that's what's happening. And I don't know if we could ever stop it.
As to RNA's official position, through planning meetings in the R1, every neighborhood group has agreed that high-rises in the R1 are not permitted. Under state law, that's above 75 feet. This is a 9-story building, this is a high-rise. It's an absolute no-go in the Heights. The projects you're proposing are trying to superimpose downtown Jersey City and Hoboken into the Heights. And I just wish that you guys could kind of just talk to us more and ask what we want, not just push these Hoboken-style buildings in the Heights. So until you lower the density, lower the height, take into consideration affordability, since we are the community that's becoming too expensive, I don't think RNA can approve and will definitely oppose this project.
We can't be here tonight, big enough, and start from scratch, and talk about what you hope to do and ask the community what we want you to do. And RNA is certainly an anchor organization, but there's many organizations here.
Right.
Pershing Field, Farms in the Heights, we all oppose this.
Right.
So if you truly want to include the community, then you need to start from scratch. You need to get one of the schools that will hold 3 times as many people, because ultimately we are going to be 3 or 4 times as many, maybe 5 times as many people. We are not going to let this happen. So if you really respect the community, you will start over.
So, I mean, you adding this is not even one-to-one parking, and I mean, I hear what everyone else is saying. It doesn't even make sense.
Not everybody, people want us to know, that's things like that, we wanna know.
There's no parking for them.
Retail is not something.
There's no parking for them.
Well, it sounds like there needs to be a very productive work session where people are giving their ideas as to what they would like for the community, not this kind of conflict-oriented, but something, exactly what Beverly said, to sit down and say, look, I don't know, maybe we want a community center, instead of the retail. Maybe there's something that could really benefit the people, the community, not have your 9 stories, maybe, 4 stories at 4 or 5 stories? Okay, but in any case, I think everybody pretty much has an idea of what's going on. And, our frustration, if I could speak for everybody, is like, well, what if they do it anyway? And that's the powerlessness that people are feeling. And I don't think you want this many people, and there will be many more, who feel that powerless, because we won't feel powerless for too long.
I have a question. So going into what we would like to see, I know personally I would love to see a parking garage with spaces for rent for the community.
Yes. Okay, and I think you've gotten the message. So we're assuming you're not going forward with this particular project the way it is. Is that correct?
I think that's fair to say.
Okay.